Mr. Speaker, sir, Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Ministers, Honorable Leader of Opposition, and Honorable Members of Parliament, members of the public who are sitting in the gallery, and those joining us live in Fiji and abroad. I rise today to speak on a topic that has been a subject of national conversation for some time. And this conversation has been quite rife in the media, and the subject here is municipal elections and the reforms that had taken place.
Order.
I think it's...
Order.
I think it's very important. There is a glaring omission whenever we talk about municipal elections, and it is essential to have an informed discussion on this subject. That piece, Mr. Speaker, sir, is the troubled history of Fiji's municipal councils. It is a history.
Order.
It is a history rife with scandals, corruption, and squandering of ratepayer money. It is a history of mismanagement and malpractice.
Order. You have the floor, Minister.
It is a history that has ended by this government and this government alone. In reality, history tells us that many municipal councils fell short of their legislative mandate. Far short. History tells us that municipal councils were often used as a means of self-gain more often than a force of communal good. And when history tells us anything, Honorable Speaker, sir, we would be wise to listen and learn from it. By ignoring history and the problems this government is working to resolve, they aren't calling for elections at all. They're calling for a return to council corruption. Mr. Speaker, sir, Fiji had elected councillors from 1972 till 2008. What did they do to improve our cities and towns? Who benefited when elected councillors had the reins?
Order.
Did our cities and towns improve? The Fijian people deserve to hear the background on local government operations, a history that will make it loud and clear why the comprehensive reform this government is undertaking are so critical before any municipal elections are held. Mr. Speaker, sir, under elected councillors, corruption and mismanagement has risen to such extreme levels that on 6 separate occasions, municipal councils had to be dissolved entirely. In 1977, the Suva City Council was dissolved under the Alliance government. In 1978, the Nassori Town Council was dissolved again under the Alliance government. In 1997, the Lautoka City Council and Savu Town Council were dissolved under the SVT government. In 2000, Singatoka Town Council was dissolved under the People's Coalition government. And in 2008, the Nasinu Town Council was dissolved under the Bainimarama government. Over and over again, we see examples of municipal councils' extreme corruption and inefficiency. Let's look at some actual example of what we're talking about. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Suva City Council sold off 6 residential properties, where 1 property was purchased by a councillor. Prime foreshore land was also sold off by councillors with zero consideration given to the land's future value and potential. Now that land is owned by the Carpenters Group, and they are building a 4-star hotel in a prime, 3-star hotel in a prime location. And to all those who struggle every morning to find a park in Suva, guess why? Again, the council sold off the Stewart Street car park and Craig Street car park. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Savu Savu Town Council once owned 150 acres of freehold land. They don't anymore because they chose to sell prime 80 acres for peanuts. To who, you might ask? It was bought by councillors, their friends, and their family members. The Savu Savu Town Council also sold off another 6 lots of prime foreshore area to the councillor's wife and to councillor's friends and relatives. There is a record on this. This happened during SVT government, and you might like to ask the leader of opposition.
Order. Order.
We still wear the scars of that corruption. Today, we can't even expand the market, bus, taxi, and carrier stand in Savu Savu because the surrounding properties were sold off. Nosori Town Council had its own share of shady dealings. Renewal of lease for a golf course area was not pursued, not for any strategic purposes, but because the councillors at that time were interested in supporting their friends. The Nasinu Town Council also sold land to councillors and business people connected to councillors. And this subdivision was financially mismanaged. Singatoka Town Council also mismanaged grants given for subdivision of land for the relocation of market and bus terminal. Lambasa Town Council constructed a swimming pool by taking a loan of 400,000 financed through special rates, which simply means that the ratepayers in Lambasa are still paying for this swimming pool, which they cannot use because this swimming pool was leased to a former mayor, also director of a hotel next to the swimming pool, for 25 years at 1,000 per annum for first 10 years, followed by $500 increase every 5 years.
Order.
Lambasa Town Council, supported by self-interest, lost a prime piece of land in Nayada, given for the purpose of market and bus stand relocation. Council did not pursue the project given that elected councillors had business interest around the existing market and bus stand. Some of the taxi drivers who have been driving for some time will remember the blatant favoritism displayed by municipal councils with regards to the issuance of taxi-based permits by Lautoka City Council and Nosori Town Councils. Again, the permits were issued to councillors and their family members. Money was flowing straight from hard-working Fijians into the pockets of certain councillors who were not there to protect the interest of cities and towns. For example, the Suva City Council's annual estimated councillor allowance stood at just about $190,000, which excluded travel, reception, and entertainment cost. We now know that many councillors were holding multiple meetings for no reason other than the collection of sitting allowance. In 2007, over $420,000 were paid out to councillors in allowance alone, and that doesn't even include travel allowances. Mr. Speaker, sir, in 2008, government conducted a review of the councils run by an independent 3-member committee. The review identified a number of crippling inefficiencies and outright corrupt practices. It found that some municipal council was kept smaller than others out of fear that political control would be lost. The boundary extensions were not favored. This boundary extension came under this government. This had resulted in developments that were haphazard in nature, especially in the peri-urban areas, putting greater pressure on the government services such as utility and infrastructure. Simply put, there was no strategic thinking. The review found a number of councils were entirely there for entirely for political engines designed to serve the interests of a single party and work against all others. Mr. Speaker, sir, some municipal councils would regularly challenge and undermine the national government policies. This created a lot of bad blood between the government and the municipal council, leading to insignificant investment by the government towards municipal capital investment. Ratepayers in Suva may recall, and I'm sure all of you can recall, that there was a time where some roads were marked as council roads, others as government roads. This was the division between the municipal teams with the government team. This brand of petty politics ruled the roost those days. When the national government was from a different political party to that of municipal council or vice versa, they would willfully stall improvement and development only to make the other side look bad. In some places, funds had been expended on public works with little to no supervision or accountability. Large avoidable debts were racking up, in no small part because contracts were given out to favored members of the council, their friends and family members. Mr. Speaker, sir, sadly our institutions, systems, processes, personnel and policy frameworks were draconian, and it needs a major overhaul. Mr. Speaker, sir, my ministry has made progress to improve municipal operations in Fiji since the government stepped in. One of the key areas that all municipal councils faced difficulty was with the maintenance and upkeep of roads, including street lights and footpaths. Mr. Speaker, sir, from 2012, road asset management were taken over by Fiji Roads Authority. The results are obvious. Look at the quality of the footpaths now. Not just excellent, but are also consistent with higher standard and uniformity. Mr. Speaker, sir, council corruption is not acceptable in any circumstances and not for any reason. With this state of affairs, the government immediately decided to pay closer attention to municipal affairs. In doing so, innovative solutions were found to resolve long-standing problems. Recently, the rural local authorities' basic services relating to development permits and sanitation were amalgamated with municipal councils, and general health sanitation services were shifted to Ministry of Health. This was done to provide better services to rural areas and to expand the boundary based on the fact that population distribution is changing in Fiji. Mr. Speaker, sir, the government has also contributed significantly to support municipal councils in upgrading municipal markets, public parks, sports and recreational venues, including stadiums. Projects include contribution towards construction of Nosori Market and Bus Stand, Langere Municipal Market, Suva's Albert Park, Tikaram Park at Lemi, Singatoka Riverbank Development, Namaka Municipal Market Redevelopment, swimming pools, a synthetic athletic track, and indoor sports facility for Lotoka. Govin Park redevelopment in Ba, Gavi Park redevelopment in Tavua, Reki Municipal Market, Levuka foreshore wall upgrade, and Old Market site upgrade, and also Savu Savu Municipal Market and Ganilau Park upgrades. Mr. Speaker, sir, the summary of capital investment on municipal assets over the last 10 years stands at an impressive 130.6 million, the majority of which has been provided by the government. Mr. Speaker, sir, from colonial days, we saw a single market and a bus stand providing little or no access to other towns and villages. Now the government is decentralizing markets across Fiji, providing easy access to all Fijians. We are ensuring no Fijian is left behind, whether you live in urban or rural areas. Mr. Speaker, sir, the levels of autonomy held by municipal councils differ from country to country. Generally, cities and towns from a more developed nation show more autonomy in comparison to those from developing or underdeveloped nations. In Fiji, municipal councils have been given delegated powers to manage sanitation, traffic, market bus stand management, park management, and development management powers. In other countries, the responsibilities are much greater. Municipal councils actually provide medical services, security services, housing, education, and even water, sewage, and electricity services, which our municipal councils don't. Internationally, national governments have adopted various models to establish municipal councils. Let me share some examples. Malaysia has had mayors and councillors appointed by the government since 1965. The results are obvious. Kuala Lumpur is regarded today as an international destination. Barbados had no elected local government and councillors are appointed by the government. Some countries, such as Botswana, have council members partly elected and appointed. It's clear there is no one-size-fits-all solution here. But what is also clear is that Fiji must find the solution that best fits our own development needs. Since 2009, Fijian municipal councils have appointed council members known as special administrators. These special administrators have included mixed, specially appointed roles, including council chair, council chief executive officers, and heads of the department. But as the public's expectation of service delivery evolves alongside the municipalities themselves, the council needs to be bolstered further, especially in the areas of good stewardship and responsible decision-making. To this end, Mr. Speaker, sir, my ministry will search and appoint up to 5 special administrators to oversee the strategic management and provide direction to municipal councils. We have also commenced our search for chief executive officers and heads of department who will then form the management team and report to the team of special administrators. We must first focus on instilling the necessary accountability for our councils, preventing them from quickly devolving into the culture of corruption that marred our communities for decades. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is equally important that town planning scheme plans are reviewed for municipal council on a 10-year cycle. Most of our town planning schemes are outdated. The government has budgeted and commenced an extensive review of master plans for the Greater Suva area, Lautoka, and Nadi. This work is being undertaken by the world-renowned architect, Professor Liu, the man dubbed as the architect of modern Singapore. Mr. Speaker, sir, from 2016 to 2018, the local government committee has been working hand in hand with the ministry in the area of town and city declaration, extension of town boundaries, development of terms of reference for the review of the Local Government Act, identification of new growth town centers such as Nambuwalu, Senganga, Keasi, and Korovo, assisting with the development of master plan and in the amalgamation of municipal councils with the former rural local authorities. Mr. Speaker, sir, during the beginning of this Parliament, His Excellency the President informed that Subdivision of Lands Act and Town Planning Act will be considered by Parliament for review. These two legislations have a bearing on the Local Government Act. Mr. Speaker, sir, a Local Government Act Review Committee shall be appointed to carry out this comprehensive review. In Fiji, we need to find the solution that best fits our nation's need and best serves our people. As such, the level of autonomy to be given to Fijian municipal councils essentially will depend upon the level and scale of the activities. Mr. Speaker, sir, for many decades, elected municipal councils' governance arrangements haven't worked. Years of pettiness, factionalism, and lack of strategic focus and vision has left municipal councils in a poor state. It will take time to fix this as it requires a paradigm shift. My ministry will continue with the reforms to put a better system of governance in municipality based on global best practice to ensure ratepayers get better returns. We cannot rely on the flawed election system that was introduced in 1972. Without these reforms in place, we would undermine the progress that this government has made when it comes to better servicing our municipalities. By calling for municipal election, the opposition is actually calling for a return to corruption and inefficient development. We must not, and we will not, bend to these demands for the sake of political expediency.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank you for allowing me this opportunity to take this floor. Thank you.